So I am so excited that you said yes again to the podcast. Brad Davidson is a legend. And you actually did a podcast with me. You were like one of the second or third way back in COVID days when we did the Leadership Now, right?
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
So much has happened. I know. Well, and when we did this, we kept saying we need Brad on this because the message you have is so powerful for leaders, for overachievers, for people who have kids that are in sports, just for people in general. And it's definitely not for lazy people. It's not for lazy people. But before we get into this, I just want to say a little bit about Brad. We met you. Oh my God. You were in Bold 2014?
I think it was 2015. One of those, yeah, because I was still in the middle of writing my book.
15. You were writing your book, and you're still in the healthcare industry or health industry. Yeah. And I remember the story. You were on the U.S. bobsled team, and you had all this like Brad is the dude. And so you're in Bold, and Eric and I looked at you and were like, we need to know this man, like who you are, what you stand for. We got you for a while on our team. You're going to come back. I mean, I'm still telling you that we're still putting that. But what you do and what you teach, people need you. They need your message. They need your guidance, because as we get into the story, it's about protecting the asset. Our body is our asset, which creates our mind, everything that we do. And so I just want to say thank you for being here.
Of course.
Let's go.
Excited for this. This is I don't know where this is gonna go, but this is gonna get good with you.
I know. So what is it about protect?
Just don't make me cry. All right. That is the one gift you have. I would just prefer not to do that on video again with you.
if it's going to happen, and when it does, it's going to be all of our social clips. It's just going to be nothing but Brad crying on our Instagram.
Okay, I'm ready.
So that's the heart of Brad. And just so everyone knows, people who know me, I look at success is when I get a tear or two.
You're very good at that.
10 or 20 or 100.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
why is protecting the asset so important to you?
From personal experience, I'm in the fitness performance world, and there's always this undertone of you got to be aggressive, you got to do more, you got to outwork everyone, you got to eat perfect, you got to be perfect. And I took all of that stuff to an extreme when I was young. It was actually, I just say it was, 2008 when we had that horrible economy, and I owned this gym and it was falling apart. And so I'm 32 at the time. I think, okay, I'm going to go make a U.S. Olympic team to prove how good my stuff is. And so I try out for the U.S. bobsled team. I make it. And I took that mentality that we hear about from the fitness sector of just, I'm going to out-train these younger guys. I'm going to out-discipline them. I'm going to just outwork them. And I was training twice a day, 6 days a week, eating perfect, avoiding carbs, doing all the things that we would tell fitness people to do to get this great outcome. And on the outside, it looked like it was working. I was very built. I was very explosive. I was all the things on the outside, but what no one could see was what was going on the inside. And 10 months of this, I'd put on 52 pounds of muscle. I was running a 4.40, I had a 42-inch vertical jump. Physically, I was a specimen. But I remember around that period of time, all of a sudden, my little baby girl enters the world. And I am thinking, oh my gosh, 90 miles an hour in a tin can went from the most exhilarating thing you can imagine to the I'm scared for my life. Like if I die, who's going to take care of this little girl? And I took one more run after having her, and I jumped out, faked an injury. I was not getting back in a bobsled. And this was day one in Lake Placid. I was not getting back in. So I fake an injury. I fake it the whole week in Placid, and I retire as soon as it's over. Like you're not getting me back in a bobsled. But I remember thinking to myself, what a great dad I am. Like no dad bod here. I'm super fit. I'm all the things. And I take a week off of training. I just want to be with my little girl and just kind of be home. And At the end of that first week, I'm like, God, something's not right. And then the second week comes, and by the end of the second week, I can't get out of bed. My whole body hurts. He took everything in me just to get to the coffee pot in the morning. My hair started falling out of my face. I'm like, what is going on? So I went to the doctor, and this doctor was a good friend of mine. And keep in mind, the last time this guy saw me, I was 165 pounds. I walk in his office that day at 2:07. And the first thing out of his mouth was like, what the hell happened to you? I tell him the whole story. He's like, oh my God, you're like the epitome of health. And I'm in my mid-30s at this time. You're the epitome of health for a guy your age. I'm like, yeah, I know. I said, but some funny things are going on. My energy, the hair falling out of my face. Yeah. He's like, something's not right. So he runs some labs, and the results come back. And he's like, hey, you need to come into my office. I got to see you right away. And he starts laying out my results in my labs. I'm a type 2 diabetic. I'm like, well, you're wrong right there. I haven't had a carb in like 10 months. He's like, well, I don't know. You're a type 2 diabetic. You're an extreme hypothyroidism. And your whole hormonal panel has completely crashed. Like, for example, men's testosterone, normal levels like 350 to 1200. I was 102 that day. Like, he's like, you're a train wreck. He goes, I've never even seen this. It's not making any sense. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I said, well, what about the hair on my face? Like these patches of hair that are falling on my face, it looks really bad. Like, what's that? And he's like, well, that's just an autoimmune disease from too much stress. I'm like, well, what drug do I take for that? I'm like, you're giving me my metformin for my blood sugar. You're giving me my thyroid for my thyroid. You're giving me testosterone injections for my testosterone. What do I take for my face? He's like, well, we don't really have a drug for that. He goes, you just need to stress less.
Yeah.
I'm like, Doc, I don't even know what the hell that means. Like, I live on stress. Like, that's my thing. Like, I'm a master. Like, I just push through it. He's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you got to learn how to stress less. And so it was an interesting phenomenon for me because I walk in thinking I'm an epitome of health because I was training so hard. I was eating doing all the things. And now I'm walking out of his office realizing I am closer to death than I am to optimal living. But hey, I look great. That was a big mental mind, for me. Like, I just realized that everything that I had been taught, everything I was doing to people was now killing me. And there were no strategies for that at that time. And it took me 6 years to recover from it. And it was a really hard 6 years. But at the end of it, I got to realize, like, oh my gosh, there are two types of people in this world. There are extreme high achievers that are willing to push themselves through everything, who believe that the more aggressive I am, the better life's going to be. And then there's the people that, like, they don't like to live that way. They just want to be comfortable, and, they don't push that hard. Most of the advice in the fitness world is built for those people that need a little bit of a fire built underneath of them. The people on this side, they need the exact opposite. And what fixed me was this realm of, I call it protecting the asset. I started building a lot of rest and recovery into my days. I started to understand how stress was affecting me and realized that's the enemy. These people like me, we don't have a lack of effort issue. It's a fatigue issue.
Yeah.
And you start talking about, hey, you're just tired. You need to rest more. That's not sexy. No one wanted to do it. But over time, especially, it was funny as I was traveling all over the world to groups of CEOs speaking this message of, you got a fatigue issue. And I got laughed out of a lot of rooms. Yeah. And then I remember COVID hits, and after COVID was kind of over, a lot of these people had me come out and speak. They called me like, hey, we really understand what you're trying to say now. We really believe you. Can you come back and give the message to our people again? Wow. And you're starting to see more and more of this world based around recovery as being such an important aspect. And so what I like to teach people is, how do you protect the asset? Because once you're metabolically destroyed, you can't function. You are the worst possible version of yourself. You can't show up for anyone. And you especially can't show up for the people you love the most. That's always my question, is when you get home at night, are the people you love the most, that mean the most to you, are they getting the best of you or the rest of you? And the only way they're going to get the best of you is to start learning how to, quote unquote, protect the asset.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard that story. I never heard that you faked the injury.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but, so you're like, I'm the best dad. I'm coming out. I'm going to take care of my baby girl. And I watch people over and over and over to what you just said. We can handle stress.
Yeah.
We think we can. And you go, right? Make it happen. Do what it takes. Just suck it up, buttercup. And especially when you look at high achievers, business owners, athlete. I mean, it's in our DNA.
Yeah.
That's what's got us to where we're going. And as soon as we rest, shit happens.
Yeah.
And we fall apart. And so how do you start teaching people? Because it's one message to, you got to protect the asset, because I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah.
You know, go, 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 go. And it wasn't until surgeries, COVID, you know, that I can't work the way I used to. And there's an identity with people. How do you shift that? How do you tell them? Because I had your rest and recover shirt, and I still was like, this is bullshit.
Oh no.
So how do you teach people how to do it to where it's nothing's wrong with them and they still see productivity?
Yeah. It's really hard, to be honest with you. A lot of times it takes people crashing to that point they've never crashed before, where they're finally willing to listen. And I'm in a place.
Your body makes you listen.
Yeah, pretty much. That's commonly the point where someone's really ready to open up and be like, okay, I'm ready to hear what you have to say. I'm at a point now where I work with so many like special force operators, professional athletes, that people tell me, oh, I don't need that. I'm like, oh, you don't need that? Well, this guy over here is a Navy SEAL, needs it. How does he need it and you don't?
Yeah.
Or, you know, here's this guy, you know, all pro, you know, NFL player, like he spends $250,000 a year on protecting the asset. Why does he need it? And you don't, oh, by the way, he's only 25 and you're 50. Like, you know, explain to me why they need it so bad and you don't. And why is this guy over here spending $250,000 a year helping take care of his body and recover and rest and do all these things, but you don't need it? And give me an answer. And a lot of times they can't. I said, so if you can't give me an answer and it's so valuable here, let's try a couple things. Like, let's see what happens when you actually start sleeping 7 hours a night. Give me 2 weeks. And if at the end of 2 weeks, you don't see a massive benefit to it, I'll back off. And so a lot of times that's where I'll just start with someone. I'll just challenge them with just try this for 2 weeks. And if it doesn't have a positive impact on your performance, I'll walk away. I'll leave you alone. And
so what happens if they say they don't have time?
Then I'll say, you know what? You're not ready to work with me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I've gotten to now. Is I work with enough really high performing people that they're pursuing me now, and so that's kind of like a lot of times. I did this with a really high level CrossFit athletes. I started working on some of the high level CrossFit athletes that had crashed, brought them back. They end up doing really well at the games, and then all of a sudden, people start hitting me up and want your help. I'm like, until you go eat nothing but carbs for the next 3 days, I don't want to talk to you. They're like, what? I'm like, I need you to go have carbohydrates, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 3 days. And then come back and let me know how you feel. And then if you're game, we'll start talking. And they would either do it or they wouldn't. And because I knew that if I didn't get them to believe in eating carbs, that I would never be able to help them. Because back then that was like the big thing, like you don't eat carbs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
rice, no.
Yeah, I became a type 2 diabetic because I avoided carbs training like that. That's the thing people don't understand, is that the flip side, if you're training really hard, you have a stress-driven issue. If you're not eating carbohydrates to calm the stress hormones down, you're going to end up in the same exact metabolic position as the lazy person who's not doing anything, eating a bunch of carbs. Your blood chemistry comes out exactly the same. So I became a type 2 diabetic by training super hard and avoiding carbohydrates. I was overly stressed, overtrained, and the carbohydrates are supposed to be there to help us recover and regenerate. Well, I was avoiding that part of it. So a lot of times I'll just challenge people, like, I need you to go do this. And before we start to work together, and if you're unwilling to do that, I'm unwilling to work with you. So that's kind of where I'm at now and how I do it.
Yeah.
So you have 2 weeks. You said, did you say 7 days?
It depends on what. I always go through an evaluation with someone, and I'll find the area I know will have the biggest return for them. A lot of times it's sleep. Sometimes it's carbohydrates. Sometimes, hey, I need you to go take a break and not work out for the next 7 days, and then come back day 8 and let's see how you're doing. Because I know they're severely overtrained. So I just kind of find the thing that I know is kind of the big elephant in the room, and I'll challenge them with that thing. And if they go do it and come back, and then we're pretty good.
Yeah. I'm curious about, like, in your own journey, and then of course how you teach and train people now. Obviously in that short period of time, finding, like you're saying, go sleep for 7 hours for 2 weeks and see what kind of results you get. And I can't imagine anybody comes back and says they feel worse than they did before. But what about the long term? Like, even in your own journey, when you started applying these healthier routines and things, was it hard to not go back and regress and be like, okay, I'm feeling better now, so I can just I can put my foot back on the pedal now? What was that like for you in those later months as you went through this?
Later months, later years. I've crashed three more times since the first one.
Wow.
Because one of the things that becomes very hard is once we get our energy, once we're back to full life, it is in our nature to go overdo it.
Yeah.
So what would happen is I would get back, start feeling great, and then I would start saying yes to too many things. And then I would end up crashing again. It's actually funny. I had a video go viral not long ago on this topic. It's called the letdown effect. Is when you're like under crazy amounts of stress. Mary said it earlier. And you're pushing through and you're grinding. You never get sick. That's not when the issue shows up. It's when the stress goes away that boom, now all of a sudden the immune system hasn't been active enough. You get really sick and things get bad. I shared this on a video and it went viral out of hate because everyone's so used to, I even had doctors coming on, you're an idiot. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. I think it's like 6 or 7 million views now. And 70% of the commentary, 70% of the commentary is negative. Like, this guy is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm just like, this is one of the problems in the world of health and fitness and stuff, is that the medical world only works on the sick, lazy people. They don't really see the high performers. And the body's responding very differently. And so I talk about this topic. It's literally called the letdown effect. It's a known thing. It's a proven thing. There's research on it, but no one knows about it. And so what happens is I would start getting into my cycle of just starting to crank and do too much and want to say yes to everything and do everything. And I would go on vacation or something and boom, it would just crush me again. And I'm sick again. The most recent one, I ended up getting I'm 49. I got a huge shingles outbreak on the whole left side of my body. That was not a fun experience. But another classic example of the letdown effect. Like, I was fine as I was cranking, and then all of a sudden I had a couple of days off, and I'm like, what in the world is that? And I did something stupid. I decided to start training with an NFL lineman at 49 years old, and I was doing all his workouts with him. Yeah, that was the dumb add-on there.
Let's go.
Yeah, and then like he goes back to OTAs, and I got a week off. I'm like, oh, sweet. Within 3 days of him being gone, I'm all of a sudden, shingles? Yeah, that's not a fun experience. But so a lot of the stuff I teach and I've learned is through experience. Like, what in the world just happened and why? So that's how I've it's super hard, because once you get somebody feeling really good, the tendency on aggressive overachievers is, I'm going to go conquer the world now. And it's really easy for them to forget about the rest, recovery. Oh, I'll just cheat my sleep a little bit this day. And then next thing is 2 days, 3 days, 3 weeks later, they've cheated sleep for 3 weeks. Yeah, it just becomes the new habit. So it's really hard to manage.
So when you came out of Bold, you actually finished the book, the 21 Metabolical Reset, and it was awesome. Actually, Eric and I did it.
Yeah.
And we felt so good.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good the first week. Like, I think it actually took me 2 weeks before I started feeling really good.
Yeah.
At first I was pissed because I wasn't seeing the results. Eric's like, he's dropping weight. He's feeling better. And I'm like, gaining weight. And I'm like, what is happening here? But, you actually helped me in so many different ways. And I don't know if you remember this. It was a year and a half ago. I'm going to clean. I got onto the medical medium thing, celery juicing, cleaning your liver. And the way you teach, it's, you just keep going, right? You have to rest, because when your body is so stressed out, and you taught me this, is that it doesn't matter how much you don't eat. Stress is keeping it on.
Yeah.
And so I kept gaining weight. I'm like, I'm having 1,000 calories a day and I keep gaining weight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got Brad in my ear and I'm like, okay, I'm going to clean out. I'm just going to clean. I'm going to figure this out. I need to be healthy. And I was at the point of quitting, like literally at the point of quitting. And I heard you in my mind, and I kept going, and I kept doing the small things, and it reset my body the way that you had taught me years ago.
Yeah.
And it is, to your point, it's human nature. We go back to the point of least resistance. when it's painful, and it's so painful, we'll listen. And then we get massive change. But then it's the little bit, I'm going to have a little bit of chocolate here, a little bit more wine here. I'm not going to sleep as much here.
Yeah.
And for all the crazy workout people, I'm going to just crush it 7 days a week, and I'm not going to take a day off.
Yeah.
Or go start training with an NFL linebacker.
Yeah.
Right.
At 49, I do not recommend that.
Okay. So you worked with, and by the way, he was the #1 requested Vistage speaker for a long time. So you work with all of these CEOs, and you would teach them this, and they were poo-pooing you, or then they would get really, really like, I need you, and then they won't follow through.
Yeah. There was a funny thing in that realm, was that the most successful business owners loved my message. They bought full in. The ones that weren't as successful, so the ones that had gotten to the point where they're working on the business, no longer in the business, loved my message, hired me, got great response from the ones that were like barely there, like still in the business every day. They're like, that can't be the answer. So I always thought that was a really interesting facet. It was the guys that actually needed it the most. The men and women that needed it the most were the ones that wanted to fight me, right? The ones that had made it, and they were looking for this solution. They'd seen the damage they'd done to themselves, and they were ready for it.
Yeah.
But trying to tell someone that's in the thick of it, like, hey, you need to back off a little bit. You need to rest more. Yeah. Stop getting out of bed at 3:30 to go to the gym. I'd rather you sleep than do that. They're like, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, okay. I get it. I always thought that was an interesting facet, was the ones that had really made it loved my message. The ones that were there in the fight, and they just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, it's when the student's ready, the teacher appears.
100%. Yes.
And you cannot want it more for someone than they want it for themselves.
Yes.
So your message, when people are raising their hand and they're like, man, I need it. Yeah. I'm ready to do the work. What is the process that you put them through?
We go through an evaluation. First things first is we got to find a foundational base, right? So like, for example, if they roll in with high blood pressure, I'm not going to go kick the crap out of them in the gym. We're going to do a lot of long, slow cardio to bring the blood pressure down, bring the resting heart rate down, because if that stuff is high, the ability to rest and recover is low. So depending on where they're at, we're always trying to get a nice baseline. Have them run their labs. So then we use nutrition. We all want to get blood sugar in check. We want to get inflammation in check. We want to get gut health in check. And so that's kind of where we start, is create a strong foundation. And then from there, you have to have a strong foundation. You have to be rested and recovered to be able to actually start to push the body to become resilient to stress. So if you're tired, you're fatigued, your metabolism isn't working well, we basically have to go reset that. We need to get a strong reset foundation. And then from there, I help them build I call it stress resilience through strength training and nutrition and recovery, so that when things get hard, because it's going to happen, life's going to throw stuff at you. You have to be able to have a resilience to handle that and maintain that.
So what's the time? I know everyone's different in the society of a quick fix, take a shot, take a pill.
Yeah. It usually takes 30 to 60 days.
Okay.
Depending on how well someone's going to respond to it. But I mean, like, I just had a gentleman, I was genetically, he had some heart issue stuff, ended up having a quadruple bypass surgery. But here's the interesting thing. He should have died of a widowmaker, but because he had gone through this process with me prior, he actually rebuilt the blood vessels, and it went around the 100% clogged artery to keep him alive. So like, literally, he even fooled cardiologists. He would go and do all their stress testing, everything. And they're like, man, you're incredible. You're super fit. Everything's great. But then he heard a podcast on someone talking about get a calcification score. So he went and did that. And they're like, this is super high. So actually went inside, and he had a full clogged artery. But because he'd gone through this process, he survived it and overrode it. And so he had to have the quadruple bypass surgery. And then when he's done and got released, he did all the things again. And we're now 12 weeks out, and he's super fit again. Like, he's just better than ever, even going through the quadruple bypass. But that's the power of protecting the asset. Something he couldn't control was there, but he survived it, and he recovered from it really fast. That's the power of doing this in this fashion. So it's typically anywhere from 30 to 60 days in the beginning, depending on how beat up someone is, to get their foundation solid. Okay. I know my book's called The 21-Day Metabolic Reset. When I was negotiating with HarperCollins on this whole idea, it was a 90-day plan. And they're like, hey, no one's going to buy a 90-day plan. It's got to be less than that. So I said, okay. So I went back with a 60-day plan. And they're like, no one's going to buy a 60-day plan. Where the market's going, it's got to be 21 days or less. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So, and now it's like, you see it's like 14 days or less. It just gets like shorter and shorter and shorter. But, so, I mean, you can get really good change in 21 days, but to really get a solid base, it's anywhere from 30 to 60 days, depending on how beat up someone is.
Well, it's consistency.
Yes.
So you get the 21 days, and then, but they have to buy in, they have to want it.
Yes.
And see the results, and it really becomes a lifestyle.
Yes.
Not just, oh, I'm going to do a one shot, which is why people go backwards, which is all the studies that show when we set goals, if it's not connected to something bigger or purpose or why, then we default. So you have kids that are very, very athletic, and they take after dad. So what do you do to teach them?
I spend a lot of time teaching them the importance of rest. Like, because my kids are pretty, they're very hyper-focused, very driven when they have a goal in place, which I love about them. But I'll use an example. My daughter over spring break was kind of getting a little overwhelmed. She goes, I have no time to myself. Like, I got to study for these tests. I got to go train here, train there. I said, no. You got to take 3 days this week where you have nothing on your plate. Like, I need 3 days of just pure rest. Go hang out with your friends. Go be a kid. So I'm constantly instilling that in him. My son, one day, I picked him up from school. He's like, Dad, what do I got today? I'm like, well, you had this training with this guy. He's like, oh, dang. I'm like, why? What's going on? He's like, oh, nothing. That's the right thing to do. I'm like, what do you mean that's the right thing to do? He's like, well, if I want to be good at football, I got to go train. I'm like, but what's the other option? He's like, well, my school's having a roller skating night and all my friends are going and I thought it'd be really fun to go. I'm like, then you're going. He's like, no. The right thing to do is to go work. I'm like, no, the right thing to do is to go be a 10-year-old little kid right now and go get some rest and have some fun. I said, you choose that training over going to hang out with your friends, you're going to resent it. And that's a bigger problem. So I'm constantly trying to show my kids, like, I love that you have big drive. I love that you have big goals, and I love that you'll work for them. But work without rest is going to cause a lot of devastating effects long term. So I am like, where I see so many parents like, my kid's grinding. I'm like, no, my kid's resting and recovering. Like, I'm really instilling that in my kids. Like, and I learned this from a guy named Stefan Kazult out of Canada, he's a Kilo out of Miami. He's like, your ability to train and progress from your training is only as good as your ability to recover from it. And that's like the missing facet, is that if you aren't recovering well from all the work you're doing, you're not giving your best performance, whether it's in the boardroom, whether it's on a field, whether it's in the weight room. You're only as good as your ability to recover from the stress you're under. And people just don't understand that facet. So I'm constantly teaching my kids, rest is important, right? Taking down days, being lazy periodically is really, really important for your long-term success.
What a different message. And I look at the higher achievers, but it's taught to us as we're younger.
Oh, 100%.
Like, we pick up all this messaging as this little kid, and then it's reinforced, and you get these protege athletes. And then, the parents, caregivers, coaches are like, if you miss, you're not going to play. You're not, and it sends a different message. So now they go into the boardroom or into the field, and the mindset is such a fear, which is what we're fighting against, that if I rest, I'm going to miss out.
Yes, 100%.
It's this or that.
Yeah.
Well, there's when you were talking about at the very beginning how your body just crashed and you're in the prime of your life. I remember I had a coach in high school, and he was in the best shape. Like, he was hot. He was a hot teacher. And he was, I think he was like 45 years old, fit. And he actually was a track coach, and he had a massive heart attack.
Yeah.
And I just remember to this day just being so shocked, because he ate healthy. He exercised all the time. He was doing what he loved, and he had a massive heart attack.
Yeah. Overstressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So What are you doing to take care of? I'm going to say, what are you doing to take care of you?
Yeah. Calling me out. I love it. So I'll give you some examples. So right now, my son's football season just started. I'm one of the coaches. So there's an extra 15 hours a week of time committed to something. And that's effort. Like I got my cleats on. I'm out there running around the field. So I'll do things like I cut my training back. I don't train as much in this next 6-month window of time. So instead of trying to work out 4 times a week, I'm working out twice a week because that's just more stress added to my plate. I'm trying to walk more. And then I will purposely, like earlier today, I had a little break for this. I went and sat in my car and meditated for 15 minutes. So I just purposely implant little things throughout my day to make sure that I'm not overburdening myself.
I think that's so fascinating, man. Like, especially with the aspect with the kids, because it's obvious that your kids, it's just the two, right? You just have the two.
Oh, they have an older brother. He's a Marine right now. He's going through it. Like,
okay, yeah. So that fits into the example of like you have really driven children, because it's obvious that they just see the example that you've led so far in your life, where like they know what work ethic looks like, they know what it can get you. But the flip side of that is, and you said this in the beginning, this rest aspect isn't sexy. It's not something that is public or that people are watching you do. Like, you're not live streaming your meditation session in the car. So then it becomes the opposite of, instead of you having to teach your kids how to work hard, they know how to do that because they're watching you. Yeah. You now, the responsibility becomes like, okay, how do you teach your kids how to rest and properly just take care of themselves? That's a huge mindset shift as a parent, to switch from one thing to the other. But it's just as important as if you have a kid that may not have as much work ethic. So I think that's 100%. Incredible.
And I think the fear too is that it's such a fine line. Are we going to be disciplined or are we going to be lazy?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pain and pleasure.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That's fascinating.
Mindset plays a huge piece to this.
Yes.
So how do you teach mindset? Because you are shifting the mindset.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of it I've learned from you. I actually just did a podcast recently for my people with a 30-day challenge. And what I've learned in the body side of things, what you're telling your body it is probably going to respond and show you that that's what it is. And so I see a lot of people like, oh, I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, of course the mind's okay. As I've learned from Mary, whatever you tell yourself, I mean, what, as a man thinketh, so he believes, like it's everywhere. And so I challenge like people, I'm like, instead of constantly beating yourself up and, oh, I'm fat or I'm not this, I'm not that. I challenged them. I said, I want every day. I said, first thing I want you to do is just do a journal dump of everything you think about yourself, your body, everything. Like no holds barred, just open it up, write it all down, close it. We'll come back to it in 30 days. So what I have people doing every morning is wake up and they start off with looking in the mirror. I love you. I'm proud of you. I forgive you. And then start saying, I love how fit you are. I love how one lady's like, I had 3 children. I got some scars from that. I'm proud of it. I love you for being able to get me through that and still keep going. And so every day they just comment on what they love about themselves and their body versus what they hate about it. And then in the 30 days, they're going to come back. They're going to do a whole nother journal dump on what they think of themselves, just so they can see how powerful how we talk to ourselves is. I've learned that from you and Bold, like the whole I am process. It's true. Like, and you can even do it with, if you start finding, people start finding themselves really focused on all the crap in life. Like, this isn't working. This is bad. This is bad. And I'll just have them like, hey, for the next week, just every night, write in a grateful journal, all the things you're grateful for. And in 1 week, you'll see the shift in their perspective on life. I love Wayne Dyer. He had a saying, I talked about it. It was, when you shift the way you look at things in the world, something along those lines is like how you perceive the world is how it's going to show up. I can't remember his exact quote, but
how the things you look at shift.
Yes, it's beautiful and it's so true. So that's the mindset I try to instill in people in this realm is using that. And my kid, like my son's 10. He's hungry and he's like an open sponge. Like I'm not the moron dad yet. So like every year before football season, he has his 3 I Ams that he has to read in the mirror every night and every day, whatever they want, whatever it is. I don't know what it are. I let him do it. I just give him the guidelines. I want 3 things that you want to be. Maybe you're not them yet. Like, I am strong. I am whatever it is. 3 of them. And you got to read them to yourself every morning, every night in the mirror. And he came back and he's like, Dad, this really works. I'm like, yeah, it really does. And so it's like, you can even see it in a 10-year-old, and, it's beautiful. And so that's kind of how I kind of work with it in that realm, is I really try to get people to talk differently to themselves about how their body looks.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I have to tell you. Oh,
no, I was going to tag on that thought because I'm curious about, in the title of this episode, what you've been saying the whole time of protecting the asset as a very specific use of the word asset in a way that's not how it's usually not used. And of course, we're talking about the asset being the body. How did you arrive at that kind of that language, and what does that really mean to you? How did you arrive at that?
I learned that I was my biggest enemy. My drive, my desire to push, my insecurities, thinking I needed to look a certain way, be a certain success level. I was destroying my life by myself. And I realized that the only person who's going to take control, and I went to therapy, I went to everyone to try to fix it for me. And then to the reality, after going to Bold and going to therapy and all these things, was like, I got to be the one to take care of me. Yeah. And that was the one thing that I was avoiding. And so I'm like, if I want to be super vibrant at 80 years old, the only person that's going to help me get there is me. And then it just kind of clicked. I'm like, oh, I'm the asset. I got to protect myself. Yeah. And I'm my greatest asset in my life. You guys are your own greatest assets in your lives.
Yeah. And without it, you don't have a life. So
100%. And I saw what that feels like. I've been through some things in life that took me out, and I realized I'm the only one that can protect myself from these things. So if I'm the greatest asset in my life, that's kind of how it all came about. I got to learn how to protect myself. Yeah. And so I look at this stuff as I am protecting myself, where I used to look at it as, oh shit, you're too skinny. No one's going to listen to you. You need more muscle. I was doing it to try to change how the world saw me. Yeah. Where now I'm like, I really don't care what y'all think about how I look. All I care about is how great I feel every day. And my scorecard is what happens when I get home after work. Am I sitting on the couch trying to talk my kid into watching a TV show with me? Or when he's saying, Dad, let's go throw the ball around, it's always a yes. It's always a yes. And as soon as it starts becoming a no, that is my alert of, oh shit, you're not doing a very good job of protecting yourself. Yeah. So that's kind of how I always is my scorecard. Am I saying yes, or am I trying to convince him to do something lazy? And that's kind of how and the better I protect the asset, the more energy I have to give him and his buddies and stuff like that at practice. And same thing with my daughter. Every once in a while, Dad will come down like, Dad, hit some balls at me. Yes. It's always got to be a yes. And in my head, if it starts becoming oh God, that's my alert. That's my alert of like, hey, you're not protecting the asset very well.
So good.
And my kids don't care how my abs look. They don't care if I'm 8% body fat or 12% body. They don't care. All they care about is.
But I just have to throw it down. If you go on Brad's Insta page, he's got abs. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Well, here's the funny thing is that I started going this route. My body looks better than it ever has at 49.
Yeah.
And I do a whole lot less training on it. It's so wild. And I try to convince people of that. And I'll get them there eventually, but no one wants to buy off on, whoa, less is more. It's actually pretty phenomenal. But just another thing I noticed about the whole, like how you talk to yourself. I'm about to be 50, and I'm, like the last 6 months I started joking around about it. Like, oh, I'm getting old, I can't do that. Or, oh, I'm going to be 50, I'm old this. Oh, at my age, I shouldn't do that. My body literally started to hurt more and more and more as I joked around about it. I was like, what are you doing? So I don't joke around about it anymore. Now I'm like, that's right, at 49, I can do that. That's right, I'm about to be 50, and I'm out here doing that. To remind myself, like, no, you're young, you're not old. I was blown away at how just joking around about it was making my body age faster. So it's just how we talk to ourselves, I think, is really critically important.
So I have to say a funny story. What you were saying about the podcast that you did, I'm fat, you know. So Eric actually sends that to me and my girls. And, you know, what we teach, sometimes we also get to learn and relearn and relearn. And I've been having negative self-talk, and he sends it to me. I'm like, that's not funny. I don't want to listen to that. And then you said it again. I'm like, shit, there it is again. And it is so true, but it is so true. It is what we say, we literally bring about.
100%.
We will create 100%. And you were saying about dumping, and I just read a book. It was by a PhD, and she was saying the same thing in regards to the thoughts, because as we know, we think thoughts nonstop.
Yeah.
Like we can't stop thinking thoughts. They just come up. And she said, everything that you think that's negative, just dump it.
Yeah.
Write it down, dump it, because it has to go somewhere. And what we do is we acknowledge it. And once we acknowledge it, it loses its power. Write it down. It's not like, oh my God, I'm having a bad thought. I can't think that way. No, it's a thought. It's a freaking thought. Write it down, dump it, close the journal. And I love what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so who am I? Teaching Gavin 3 I ams, because you're instilling that. And as he gets older and he has children, he's changing the cycle.
Yeah.
What he learned from dad, he gets to be, which is what, could you imagine what this world would be like with people who think like that?
Yeah.
Like you?
Yeah.
That how do we create balance in our life?
Yeah.
It's okay to walk, not lift.
Yeah.
30 minutes on the Peloton is fine versus an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And if I don't have 30 and I'm sore, do 10 minutes and do it slow, but at least you're moving your body.
Yeah. 100%. The other thing I teach him that I wish I would have known. So he's really into football right now. I always teach him, like, hey, you're Gavin Davidson. Getting me. That plays football. You're not Gavin Davidson, the football player. You're Gavin Davidson that plays football. Like, your life is about so much more than football. This is just something you love to do. So never forget that. Because I see so many people get locked into, you're this. And you're really not. That's just what you do. So like, I think that's another really important thing that I see a lot of people struggle with, is that they have this perception of, and they're holding on so tight to, I'm this. It's like, no, that is what you do. That is something you enjoy doing, or that is your job. Like, who are you big picture? And so that's something I always try to instill in him as well, is like, this doesn't really matter. This is just something you love to do. You do this because it's fun. It's a sport. This is not like this or your life's over. I see so much pressure on people in that realm.
So you work a lot with and I'm probably going to say, I say it wrong, but it's the Columbine, right? Columbine?
The Combine. Yeah, I used to do a lot of work with NFL Combine. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and so you work, and when we say you work with high level athletes, you've got to, I mean, we could drop names, but
yeah,
the same thing is, if the fear is if they don't do it, then they're going to lose it. And at the same time, we're watching all these players, especially young players, get hurt.
Yeah.
And injuries that they never ever should have been having those injuries. So are you still working with the messaging of the younger athletes?
Yeah. I mean, I really try to push, body care, stretching. Like, for example, any kid that hasn't reached puberty yet, do you want to know the biggest impact you can have on that child's body? Flexibility. It's the only time in life you can actually increase the flexibility of the human body to where you can actually create change with it. But who the hell focuses young kids and tells them, hey, focus on your stretching, right? No one. Yeah. It's like, it's so misperceiving. So it's like, hey, here's a huge window of time. I want you to stretch every day, and get as flexible as you can, because once you hit puberty, that goes away. You can only maintain it. So I'm really big. And that's what we're seeing is just so much training volume on these young kids. They're lifting more than they should be lifting. Their volume of training is, a lot of these kids are training more than my professional athletes are. It's like, how does that work? Yeah. And I think that's a big issue, is they're now playing sports almost all year round. When I was a kid, like during the fall, it was soccer or football. In the winter, it was basketball or wrestling. And in the spring, it was track or tennis or baseball. And then in the summer, you were just a kid. Like, now it's like kids are playing like multiple sports all year around. And so what's happening is they're making you feel like your kid's going to fall behind if he doesn't continue to, or she doesn't continue to do this. That is the biggest bunch of BS. Like, so I tell my kids, like, you got to go find other sports to play. Like, I don't care if you suck at them. It's going to make you better at the one you love. And it's going to reduce your risk of injury because the pattern overload of doing the same things repetitively in the same sport aren't there. And you see the best athletes in the world, once at the highest levels, they grew up playing multi-sports. It's super rare that one of the best athletes in the world grew up only playing one sport his or her whole life. And so if you want to reduce the risk of injury and enhance their ability to perform at a high level, you got to get them to play and do multiple things.
So you take that into an adult, right, in the corporate world. And when you were talking about, well, even protecting the asset and the things that you do now and the things that matter, can I say yes to Gavin when he wants to pay, throw the football?
Yeah.
Or I'm a couch potato, so to speak. I just took a leadership class myself, and they did the dash in a different way. And it was so flippin' powerful. They actually did a tape measure. And on that tape measure, they turned it over so you have all the centimeters. And you had to cut where you thought you're going to live, like, so your lifeline. How old are you going to be when you die? Okay, so I hit 90. I would like to be longer than that, but I'm definitely not going to be younger than that. And then we had to cut where we are now, the age we are now, and then hold up how much life we have left. And that has been such a crazy visual. And I can't get out of my head, and you're talking. And I really, it's the message that I would love for every human who is listening to this. It doesn't matter how old, how young, what are you going to do the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Because we think we've lived this whole life and it's messy and we push, or sometimes we have regrets, but you have this much life left to live.
Yeah.
So what would you say, your last words that you haven't said or reiterate? Protecting the asset.
You have two choices on how you're going to live those last bunch of years, either with great energy or with horrible energy. And that is going to dictate the experience, the life you have, and the people around you have. I choose a life of great energy. So everything I do is to optimize my energy. That is another reason why I changed how I train. If I train super hard all the time, guess what I'm dealing with? More fatigue. Who pays the price for that? My kids. The people in my life pay the price for that. So I'd rather have less muscle mass on my body, a little more body fat on my body, and have great energy for my kids than to look super lean and to be that extra 5 or 10 pounds of muscle heavier and then not be able to show up for my family, my kids, my friends, things like that. So I think the greatest thing to take from that standpoint is you get to choose how you live those next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's either with great energy or with crappy energy. And then that is how people are going to experience life with you. And that's how they're going to remember you. My kids will remember me as the yes dad. Bottom line. I will never be too tired to throw the ball around, to go to the golf course, to do whatever the hell it is they want to do. And that window of time is getting shorter and shorter for me because as soon as they leave, my daughter's going to be a senior in high school. As soon as they're gone, that time is, pretty much gone. Yeah. So that's how I view it. That's why I think energy is the most incredible, most important thing we have to give this world is our energy. You protect the asset, the world's going to experience a much greater version of you, a much more impactful version of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you what keeps you grounded, and you just laid it out.
Yeah.
It's what matters most.
Yeah.
It's your kids. And Brad, I just want to say thank you for just being you. I freaking love you. Eric freaking loves you. We talk about you all the time. It's like you are seriously like a brother to me, and what you do, what you give, this world needs. And you just keep sharing that message. And when you fall down, get back up like you do.
Yeah.
And you just keep teaching us to protect our assets.
Love it.
Because we need to make that dash count.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man. Well, thanks for joining us, man, and rescheduling and getting on. And I know you ran around last time. But
technology and electricity was much friendlier to me today. I love it.
That's awesome.
Which created a happier Brad.
Yes, much more grounded today than I was a couple weeks ago when electricity was out.
It's okay. We give ourselves grace, rest, and recover.
Yeah. I love it.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks as always for listening, everybody. If you want to learn more about some of the upcoming trainings that we have, you can visit our website, drivenleadership.com, or shoot us an email. We'll jump on a call with you and run through all the options that we have for you and your team. You know, I like to tell people who may not be familiar with Driven Leadership, if you have people and you have a business, we have a product or a solution to help you build those people up into the leaders they need to be for your business. We have our Bold classes resume in August, and we have one for every month for the rest of the year. So contact us. We still have seats available, and they are filling up pretty quick since we have limited seats. We also have a Forge class coming up, which we're really excited about. Forge is our sequel to Bold, built for teams. You come with your team and you run through a Bold style class with them. We would love to have you in one of those classes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.